I'm Dr. Kimberly Manning.
And this is Dr. Ashley McMullen. And you're listening to the Human Doctor Podcast, where we explore the human side of medicine, along with teaching, living, learning, and all things in between. Using the power of storytelling, conversation, and connectedness.
Hey, we're two dope academic internal medicine doctors, but we ain't your doctors. So if you perceive anything we say here as medical advice, no, it ain't that. Also, the things we say, they only reflect our brilliant Black woman magic mind and not our employers.
You could have been anywhere, y'all, but you chose to be here with us, and we appreciate you. Let's go.
Well, kings, queens, and non-binary royalty, this is the week of the Society of General Internal Medicine National Meeting. It is going to be an action-packed adventure. And I have to say that my family has said to me more than once, my mom, shout out to you, Mom. Hey, what's up, Shug? And shout out to my younger sister, Jolie, both of whom who have been like, oh, when is the SGIM meeting? Because they feel like, because we keep bringing it up. It is on Thursday. Well, Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah, it starts Wednesday evening. Things really kick off Thursday.
So we agreed today that we would jump on the mic just for this is like a light bite. Consider this a light bite.
Yep.
This is the toppest of podcast episodes. But we want to just tell you a little bit about our experience with the Society of General Internal Medicine, give all of our listeners some context for what that means to us. And might I start by just framing this?
Yes, please.
The Society of General Internal Medicine is a national organization of healthcare. I'm scared to say providers because some people don't like that word. People who be taking care of patients in many facets of general medicine and primary care. Some of those people do all outpatient. Some people take care of America's heroes at the VA. Some of them are in the academic setting and in the VA. Some are just in a direct care setting with patients. Some of us do inpatient and outpatient. Some people have areas where they focus, like addiction medicine. And I have a very good friend who is now an international expert in the care of patients living with hepatitis C. We have our primary care doctors who focus on our patients living with HIV or alcohol use disorders. And it just goes on and on. The cool thing about general medicine is that we are masters of many, many things, but we don't have to really commit to just one. And you can kind of commit if you want to on the side to one thing, but you don't really have to. Some of us are even internal medicine and pediatrics trained like me. So for a lot of us nerds in medicine, it's great to have what you call an academic home. And our academic home is the Society of General Internal Medicine. And there's some other academic homes that we got love for. No shade to them. I see ACP, Society of Internal Medicine, Academic Alliance of Internal Medicine, AAP. I see you all. But today we are going to focus on the love affair for us that is the Society of General Internal Medicine, which I call SGIM and Ashley calls
SGIM.
SGIM.
I know no other way.
And some call it SIGM.
Which is crazy to me.
A weird, crazy word.
But no shade.
So tell me about your intro to what do you call it? SGIM?
SGIM, but been a little bit more fluid with the Society of General Internal Medicine. It's a lot of words, but I can do it. My first SGIM was in 2018. It's my last year of residency. It's kind of like the expectations kind of built into our program. It's just like, you're going to go to SGIM at some point. And ideally, you're going to have the experience of presenting a poster or doing a workshop. And I remember being a senior resident on the ICU team earlier that year and coming across a really interesting case of a patient who developed cerebral emboli from a fat embolism that came from a variant of sickle cell. The imaging was really profound, and I learned a lot from that patient and was just really invested in learning more about that process, and ended up submitting that as a poster that got accepted. And it was kind of my first big glossy like national poster presentation as a full-fledged MD. And I got to be out there with a lot of my residency crew. It's something I appreciate about UCSF and a lot of the University of California systems is that there's a very big presence at SGIM. It feels in many ways like a homecoming because, you know, a lot of the residents who've graduated and, you know, perhaps gone the few who've gone to other places and not stayed at UCSF, you know, we all come back together, and it's just so fun to see everyone and to be in different cities. I think my first one was in, I want to say it was in Colorado. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah. What about you?
Let's see. For me, I don't even remember when my first one was. I don't
Mm.
remember where it was or when it was. I think it was I was definitely in residency. And it was driving distance from Cleveland. So I think the SGIM was not quite as big yet because it was somewhere where I could get to it. So, and you know, now we're big enough where we just aren't, we tend to frequent the same cities again because now that the meetings are bigger,
Mhm.
it's a little harder to secure enough people in a space. But I think I used to just sort of walk around not really thinking about belonging to the Society of General Internal Medicine. When
Mhm.
I was early in training, it really probably about 3 years into me being on faculty at Emory was when I began to recognize that this was a home for me. I think for me though, a big part of it was that I didn't know what I was.
Mm. Yeah.
So I was med peds trained. I was a clinician educator, but I did a lot of inpatient. So I kind of saw myself as a hospitalist. So initially, most of the lion's share of my time was through the ACP,
Mhm.
the American College of Physicians, which I got
Yes.
love for the ACP. But the SGIM was just smaller and cozier for me, and I just felt like the networking there was really, really special.
Mhm.
And I think somewhere around like my third year on faculty, I submitted a workshop and it got accepted. And it was a workshop on narrative medicine that I submitted along with my division chief, Dr. Bill Branch. And it was just really a powerful experience. It was very well attended. People were very, very engaged. And there were people I met at that workshop that I'm still cool with. And that's kind of how SGIM is. You just like, I don't know, you just make a lot of family there.
Exactly.
Mhm.
I think the opportunity for connections and especially connections across institutions
Mhm.
is not something that's easily found. And I also love that there are like intentional opportunities to build mentoring networks, especially for trainees and younger faculty. I remember, I want to say it was probably that same year where I attended a get together in the evening for folks who are underrepresented in medicine. And what really struck me was hearing the stories of the more senior physicians, because many of them, like, you know, at the time that they started, really didn't have communities within the divisions and departments where they were at. And so the conferences, particularly SGIM, were like that was the place where they found folks who really not only like supported them, but like uplifted them, celebrated their achievements, and, you know, gave them the leverage to continue like breaking barriers at the places that they were.
Mm. Did you go the year that Giselle Corby was the president?
I'm not for certain. There was a gap that I went between residency and faculty. So I think it was a couple years before I came back to
Okay.
SGIM.
So Giselle Corby was the national president of SGIM. I want to say I felt like it was like around 2018, but maybe 2017, but I'll be able to look it up and figure it out. So the president gives an address, and the president's address normally is a lovely talk with PowerPoint slides and, but she set up the stage like a TED talk where the slides were behind her and she was just in the middle of the stage, like talking with a lavalier mic. And she was kind of walking through her journey as a kid into where she is now. And she's originally from Brooklyn. And I remember there was this point, and I felt like it was a pivot point for me in SGIM because I one of the things I love about SGIM is that they're pretty courageous sometimes with things that they'll do. She was standing on stage, and behind her was this gigantic quote from the notorious B.I.G. That was dope. And I can't remember what the quote was. It was so dope. Like, and she was like standing like in a power position,
Mm,
legs like kind of apart, hands out, making her point. And I looked around the room. I was like, there are thousands of people looking at this lady standing on this stage as the whole entire national president of this organization. And she is drawing inspiration from the notorious B.I.G. And I'm
mhm,
here for it. Oh my God. Yeah.
mm.
That was a quote from the song Sky is the Limit. I just know.
Oh,
Is the limit you could
yes.
keep
Yeah.
on pressing on. That's a good,
Mm,
yeah.
mhm,
It's good. Yeah, that was lit. And actually I want to say around that time, that was when it must have been 2018 because Twitter was kind of picking up then. Somebody on Twitter, I think it was SGIM on Twitter, said, we want people to leave a message about why they're proud to be GIM.
mm,
So I remember like opening up my smartphone and I'm not gonna remember what I said. I did like this 1.5 minute thing in meter and it was really cool. So
mhm.
I got notified by somebody from SGIM that when they opened the plenary session, they wanted me to come on stage. I was standing on the stage in the dark and the lights came up and I was like,
I got this tweet from a colleague friend that said, Kimberly Manning, tell them why you're proud to be GIM. I said, oh my goodness, thought you'd never ask. I'll do my best to stay on task. You see, we get to do the things that some of them don't. We get to hear the things, that most of them won't. We read EKGs, symptom diaries, and if your joints are hurting, we'll inject your knees. We'll see your mama, your daddy, your grandma too. And we won't tell a soul if you need a pill that's blue. So let's see, we got heart failure on Mondays, COPD Tuesdays, hump day, wild card, Thursday, up to you day. Friday, I'm teaching. Saturday, I'm reaching. Out in my community, but that's up to own and each. I think of all the things though, I'd say number one is that general internal medicine is just super fun.
Woo! Woo!
And I am proud to be general internal medicine at Emory University
Woo!
in Atlanta, Georgia.
oh, that
It
was
was rich.
yeah.
It's
I like
rich.
and now they bring in podcasts to record live.
Yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I'm just in awe of the fact that it's already here. We've been talking about this since January.
Me too. And
Yeah.
SGIM is a big part of our origin story, whether you know it or not,
Mhm,
because years ago, I went to a workshop that was led by Emily Silverman, and she was talking about this fledgling thing that they had started in San Francisco at UCSF,
Mm-hmm.
where they were doing story slams in the evening. And from there spun a podcast called The Nocturnist.
Yep.
It was at that session that I met Emily, and we exchanged numbers. And, a lot of that happens when you go to somebody's stuff and you like what they're doing. But that was literally what made me know her well enough for her to reach out and invite me to join the Black Voices in Healthcare, special series for The Nocturnist, which is where we had met before, but that was really where we got to work together. And that was
Mm-hmm.
really where we realized in our very last conversation
Mm-hmm.
that us just talking to each other on a podcast will be dope. At least to us.
Yes, exactly. Thankfully, some other folks agreed. And, here we are. But what a beautiful journey.
Correct. A beautiful
Yeah.
journey it has been. We have come a long way.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think?
Yeah, I think so. And I'm grateful for every step of it. It's been phenomenal.
Well, sis, I think we said this was going to be a light bite.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying not to turn it into a big bite that you thought was a light bite. Um, yeah.
Which is certainly possible. But, the next time y'all hear from us, we'll be live from SGIM. So, if you wanted a big bite today, don't worry, there'll be a big bite coming, a double storytelling adventure from us.
Mm-hmm. I want you to know I was trying to find the line from The Sky is the Limit.
I figured there was
But everything I'm finding got some very colorful words in it. So
Mhm.
I need to ask Dr. Corby, what line did she? I think she might have censored this a little bit.
Yes, maybe she had to use some creative editing with that.
Yeah.
But, the sky's the limit in and of itself, I think it speaks to, the little podcast that could.
The little podcast that could. The
Mhm.
sky is the limit, and you know that you can keep pressing on. But then that's a whole bunch of bad words. So well, traveling grace to you,
Yes.
East Bay, traveling grace to me from
Mhm.
the A,
Yep.
and traveling grace to all of you. And hopefully those of you who will not be at the meeting will definitely tune in to hear our live recording. And hey, I'm asking that if you are attending the meeting, tell a friend to come check us out at 3:30 p.m.
Mhm.
on May 7th.
Yep.
And we would love to have you. We're not going to make you pair and share. You're not going to have a breakout. All you got to do is chill.
Just show up and say hello,
What's up? Tell us how
Yeah.
on a scale of 1 to 5.
Yeah.
And there's no magic like me and Ashley together.
Believe it.
All right. Well, sis, I love you mucho. And I will see you in the nation's capital.
Yes. Love you too, sis.
All
See you
right.
soon.
Holla.
That wraps up this week's episode of the Human Doctor Podcast.
Special thanks to our favorite brother gastroenterologist, Dr. Chuma Obiname, for the beats. Shout out to the Dr. Ashley McMullen for editing and production.
Mad love to our podcast family at The Nocturnist and the Clinical Problem Solvers, our Med Twitter fam.
And especially shout out to all of you, our listeners.
Until next week, remember,
we see you and you are enough. Holla!